Let's start with Alabama running backs. I got your list here for you. It's kind of, I'm looking at their top 4. Najee Harris, Trey Sanders, a guy who got injured, was a 5-star recruit. I was looking forward to seeing him last year, and he didn't get to play because he got injured. Then Keelan Robinson and Brian Robinson Jr., both 4-star guys, but both guys that I think are going to be really good. I mean, this group of 4 guys is pretty legit. I like that group. I mean, I think anybody in the nation would want to have this group. Now, are they better? Are they better than Clemson's group? So Clemson's group, they have a lot more depth at running back. Let's just put that out there first. Now, they have a couple of 3-stars and maybe, a little bit, kind of lower 3-stars, I guess, or whatever you want to say, unranked guys. But they've got Travis Etienne, who was originally like a borderline 3-4 star. I think they ended up giving him a 4-star at the end. Travis Etienne is way more than a 5-star by now. I mean, returning senior, as good as he is, Heisman Trophy candidate, I believe you got to put him up there as a 5-star, even though he wasn't originally ranked that. Lyn-j Dixon is a guy who's got a ton of experience and can hold his own. Now, is he smaller build? Yeah, he's a smaller build. He's more of a speed guy, more of an outside run guy, more of a kind of juke you out of your shoes guy, not a kind of bowl you over type person. But they got that. They got that in Ches Malusi, and I'm looking forward to seeing what Malusi can do this year. Then they also got a guy who we've talked about a lot in the recruiting world, DeMarcus Bowman. Now, he may not get a lot of playing time because we know how Clemson does things. We know they like to let the more senior guys that earn their reps come through. But they've got Dukes and Rencher and Pryor ready to go as well. That's a big-time group of guys. A lot of 4-stars, a couple of 5-stars in there. I think if you look at it just as the running backs, now I'm going to go further. Hold your horses. I'm going to go further and look at the offensive line because I think that played account into it. However, I don't think offensive line should play into account when you're just looking at one group by themselves in a vacuum. But I think some people like to do offensive line and say, well, this is why they're going to be better. And we'll get into that. But just looking at the running backs as a whole, it's pretty close. I got to give Clemson the edge because of depth, because of the range. We don't really know what Trey Sanders can do on the field. We haven't seen him yet. We haven't seen a lot of Brian Robinson. We've seen a ton of Najee Harris, but we've seen a ton of Dixon. We've seen a ton of Etienne. We've seen Dukes. We've seen Rencher. That's my thought. There's a lot of experience on that Tiger team, and I think they're going to show out this year.
Yeah, I don't really see how you can rank Alabama's running backs above Clemson's at this point. I mean, we're big into stats here, and you look at the top 3 yard getters, we'll say, for last season, okay? And you've got Travis Etienne, Lyn-j Dixon, Ches Malusi are our top 3. Their top 3, Najee Harris, Brian Robinson, and Keelan Robinson, okay? So every one of our guys beat their guys in yards. Okay. And every one of them beat their guys in touchdowns. Okay. Pretty similar offensive lines, so I just don't see how you could rate them above us. Now, I understand you having to take into account a Trey Sanders who is supposed to be this big time phenom for them. And I'm sure he will be, but we don't know that yet. We haven't seen him yet. Again, we have our own 5-star and DeMarcus Bowman coming in here. And again, I like our depth better as well, because we also have, Malusi, Pryor, Dukes, those guys as well. So yeah, I think Clemson is the clear number 1 here as of right now.
I think the caveat here, obviously, I think with Travis Etienne in the backfield, we have more depth. We're ranked higher. We should be ranked higher than Alabama. The caveat here is if God forbid something happens, Travis Etienne or something like that, where he's gone for like a game or something, I don't know. I think that they have 4 outstanding running backs. There's a type at Alabama. They're just sledgehammers of running backs. They don't really have a scat back or anything. They're just all sledgehammers, and they're very good. But like I said, if you have Travis Etienne, no question it's Clemson. Without Etienne, there's a little bit of discussion to be had.
Sure.
Well, I mean, you could say without Etienne, but then we could say without Harris. I mean, without Harris, then what they have? I mean, they have Trey Sanders, a guy, he's already coming off an injury and hadn't proved anything yet. So, you could do it both ways there, Houston.
I agree. I think that's just something to think about. Not saying I agree with your point. If they don't have Najee Harris, it's not even comparable. But it is something that there is right now a there's a guy. We have a guy at running back, which I don't think we've ever seen before. Even with the days that we had C.J. Spiller, Travis Etienne is a completely different back. He's the elite runner. Hopefully they give him the ball more this year, and that's why I think he's just a completely different back than anyone that we've ever seen.
I tend to agree. I totally agree with that. I think Eaton's going to have a huge year. I think he's going to have a lot bigger year coming out of the backfield as well. He's going to set some major Clemson records this year. It's going to be a lot of fun watching him. Obviously we're going to need him to stay healthy. But yeah, I think lyn-j Dixon. I've had a lot of praise for lyn-j Dixon. I did an article on him a while back, but I think he's got a level of explosiveness to him that is just unbelievable. But it's Alabama running backs are just different. Like Houston said, I actually meant to mention that when I was talking earlier. But they're just a different type. They're the 225, 230 plus guys that can just bowl you over, and that's not what Clemson's doing right now. But still we've got guys that have beat them in every stat category, and I just think Clemson's a clear choice.
Now, if you factor in offensive linemen, things kind of change a little bit, and I think that Athlon Sports kind of factored in offensive linemen when they ranked Alabama above. Now, chat's getting in here and saying, hey, watch out for Georgia's running back. Now, you got Zamir White and James Cook. I don't know. They've got a lot of replacements on the offensive line. That offense is completely retooled. Not only retooled as far as player personnel, but retooled as far as coaches. So it's hard to say right now. And last year, I don't know. It's hard to say. I know that they're going to be heavy run, but they also have Newman now, so maybe they can open it up a little bit more. I don't know. I think that Alabama definitely, Najee Harris is, from California, one of the best recruits in the nation at his time. He is going to be a star for sure in next season as long as he stays healthy. Another case in point here. Evan Neal, right tackle, 5-star. Leatherhead, 5-star. I believe that's left tackle. Dixon, 4-star. Brown, 4-star. Emil is only the new guy to replace there, and that's a 4-star guy. They got big, giant guys on the offensive line, 2 big 5-star guys, and a ton of seniors and graduates on that offensive line. So a lot of experience, big-time talent, and only replacing one guy at left guard. That bodes pretty well for the Crimson Tide and those big-time elephants over there. Clemson, on the other hand, not as fortunate. They continue to have Jackson Carman, 5-star left tackle, but Cade Stewart stepping into a more prominent role. Jordan McFadden, gonna switch sides completely to a side that I believe was kind of a weakness last year. I love Ankrum, I love Gage Cervenka, but it was kind of a weakness to the right side. Travis Etienne had a very hard time running to the right side of the field. It was so bad that Trevor Lawrence rolled out to the left side of the field on his opposite shoulder more often than not because the right side just wasn't as strong as the left side. Granted, left side, who did you have? Big John Simpson and Jackson Carman. So, of course, you want to go to that side. I would want to go to that side 24/7. But there is a need there on the right side. Then you're going to have Will Putnam, big-time recruit there. He's a solid guy, but not a lot of work yet. And then Walker Parks, another guy that I'm looking forward to seeing next year. I think that he works his way up and gets into the starting rotation. I know we didn't talk, but we talked about maybe Vincent. We talked about maybe some other guys, but I like Walker Parks too. When you factor in offensive line, does that change your mind?
I think it certainly could, but again, like you said, we have to base this off what we saw last year. And last year, I think the offensive lines were relatively even. And this year, Clemson has a good starting rotation, in my opinion. I just think the depth is the big question there. But yeah, I think when you're putting out an article like this, you should be analyzing simply the running backs and not the offensive line as kind of some package deal here necessarily. But yeah, it would certainly change the conversation a little bit. Alabama's got some monsters, we all know that. And I like the guy that got in and talked about Georgia's running backs. I love Zamir White. I really wanted him. I think he was close to committing to Clemson at one point, and he ended up with Georgia again to just be another 5-star over there. So, yeah, they're going to have some pretty solid running backs as well, assuming they can stay healthy.
Agreed on all fronts. I think we should look at it from the running backs perspective, not necessarily filling in the package deal of offensive linemen. Alabama has been churning out offensive lineman recruits since Nick Saban came to town in '08. I think, much to Alan's point, we're still building depth at that. I think that we have a very good rotation. I think that this is going to be one of those years that as time progresses on in the season, you're going to see the line get much more stronger as the year goes on. And to his point with the Georgia backs, look, I think that there should be a little bit more discussion about their running backs being a top group, just because both James Cook and Zamir White are outstanding running backs. Georgia, I don't know how they've done it forever. They put out absolute stallions when it comes to the running back position. So I'm never going to discredit them. I just think Travis Etienne, this is his year when it comes to who the top back is.
Thanks for watching this video, and make sure to join our live show every Monday night at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time right here on YouTube. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss it.